upside down right now.
Sam and Bucky spend the entire first episode apart. There's an urge in storytelling to cut to the action as quickly as possible. Why did you want to start with us not having those two characters together?
I'm going to give Kevin his credit, but also say I would have came to the same conclusion. Kevin really wanted to position them with their own storylines so that we understood this is going to be these characters' chance to emerge as fully realized human beings. And that if you bring them together too quickly, all of a sudden they exist as a duo and not as individuals. Yes, this is going to be a buddy two-hander, but first, let us introduce you to these people as individuals and as their own entities.
So we're partners, co-workers, not necessarily a team. No.
The episode ends with the reveal that the government lied to Sam and used the Captain's shields to create a new, very pointedly white Captain America after Sam had laid that down. That felt pointed to me as the way to end
it is. I think this is going to be an extremely relevant show in a lot of ways, and that is not by accident. And I think the magic of embracing diversity in the writer's room and having an almost all Black staff allows you to tap into pop culture through the magic. Particularly, I mean, Black folk are the masters of it, you know what I'm saying? And when we get a shot to do what we do, it is universal for everyone because our struggle and our point of view is a concentrated version of the greater human struggle. So those moments you're talking about are pointed, and we dig deeper and deeper and deeper as the series progresses.
Symbols are nothing without the women and men that give them meaning.
We need someone to inspire us again.
One of the things that I also loved was you had the banker ask Sam how he made his money. That's a question that I've always wondered. I imagine it's one that you had. Did you ask that of Kevin?
Everyone, Adam, it's funny. Every single person I'm sitting with went crazy over that scene, and it satisfied something very deep for people. And what's a trip is when we got to that moment and that question came about naturally, the entire Marvel structure chimed in on that moment because it created a dialogue, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, that was a really, really fun moment where what was supposed to be a scene that mostly dealt with the issues of a Black family from a certain background dealing with a bank loan, and the fact that him being a celebrity does not transcend him being Black, turned into way more logic and way more fun of, wait, how do superheroes make their money? And I can't tell you the volumes of documents that came out in building what is this much dialogue.
In WandaVision, it took a couple episodes for it to really sink in that the show was going to be about grief. It feels like your show, at least in the context of Bucky, is going to be a lot about regret and making amends. What about them really did you want to be able to sort of open up and pick apart and explore?
For Sam, that was the primary reason I showed up, which was for Sam, the idea of a Black man confronting the Stars and Stripes is whether it's even appropriate to carry that shield. And the audience will find out very quickly that he has strong opinions that are going to surprise them, right? For Bucky, it was so obvious to me that how crazy this dude's life has been. And because he only got short moments in a million different movies, right? And Sebastian, being such a good actor, was able to wield all the trauma of his backstory and bring him to life in that moment. It was like this character walks through your door and he's like, hold on, let me bring my baggage with me. And it's 37 bags, stacked high that we had the pleasure of unpacking in the series. So what we tried to do was imagine every person Bucky killed while he's under the control of Hydra, take the process of the fact that he's 106 years old and find one storyline that personalized all that and forced him to confront it and allowed Sebastian to show his chops, you know what I'm saying, in those moments and dealing with it.
Part, I think, of also the fun of Marvel is that you get to play in the larger sandbox. It's really great to see Don Cheadle show up so early, and it really struck me how actually rare it had been to see two black men in a
Yep.
superhero in like this superhero talks, just having a conversation.
It was for me and the rest of the writers, and for Nate Moore, just the concept of two black superheroes being on screen together said a million things, right? And if you've seen how much dialogue we wrote, because I was so excited to get them together, and a lot of that got distilled. But I think the spirit of that excitement, and not just that excitement, the poignance of two black men, like Cheadle is such a good actor and Sam's such a good actor. This bigger issue that's going on in this journey, they don't have to say that much. Everybody knows these are two black men and they dealing with the stars and stripes. They don't even have to say that much for you to get how much it's weighing on them and how much these dudes probably hooked up and talked behind the scenes in the MCU.
This world is ours. There's no going back.
One of the clear villains is established this in this episode is the Flag Smasher, and in this iteration you sort of like, you know, created it in a sort of an anarchist collective effort kind of way. The end goal of this Flag Smasher is in some ways something that you might want to strive for, this idea of not having, you know, overly nationalist efforts, which is something that we're all currently living through. How did you arrive at wanting Flag Smasher?
We wanted it to be relevant. You know what I'm saying? We wanted it to be forward facing. And the genius of the Marvel comic book universe is because they always thought like that, whether they got stuff right or wrong, they were always thinking that way. Your menu of people to choose from, it's just immense. And with that intention of saying, this has to be heroes for all the people. These have to be conflicts that the world can understand. Look at what happened in MCU. Thanos disappeared half the planet's population, gone for 5 years, then they reappeared. That is a global problem, Adam, right? That's a problem everyone on the planet has to deal with. And so all the villains were born from that spirit. And that's why I feel like they're going to feel very prescient and timely, because we were able to mirror the state of the world today with the MCU, and then have villains who actually believe they're heroes because they're responding to the state of the world, as opposed to some personal agenda or a quest for power or I want $1 million, you know?
The fact that you did that before the pandemic makes you having a show after the pandemic feel even more oddly prescient.
I want to be honest. I want to say this first and foremost. The prescience the room had in general was staggering, like how relevant we were going to be no matter what. But we had a cheat code, which is because the mandate was to be of the moment. When COVID hit and shut us down, we were already responding to the snap, you know what I'm saying, to the blip. But it really allowed us to pause and rework and retrofit to make sure the connectivity between what we're dealing with in the real world today, it really, really resonated with what was going on in the MCU.